Listen closely. The moon enters Gemini on Saturday, August 16th at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time, marking the beginning of a 48-hour period that will fundamentally alter how your mind processes information, handles stress, and manages the constant digital noise of modern life. This lunar transit, lasting until Monday, August 18th at 6:22 a.m., creates what astrologers call a mental acceleration phase, where the already overstimulated human psyche receives an energetic boost that can either lead to breakthrough clarity or complete cognitive overwhelm. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication and mental agility, governs the nervous system, the shoulders, arms, hands, and most importantly, the speed at which your brain jumps between thoughts. When the moon, which represents your emotional responses and subconscious patterns, moves through this air sign, it amplifies your need to communicate, learn, socialize, and process multiple streams of information simultaneously. For minds already operating at capacity in our hyperconnected world, this cosmic event acts as a neurological accelerator that can push mental fatigue into complete burnout. The astrological mechanics behind this phenomenon are precise and measurable. The moon in Gemini creates what's known as a mutable air energy pattern, characterized by rapid mental shifts, increased curiosity, heightened social awareness, and an almost compulsive need to stay informed about everything happening in your immediate environment. Your emotional body, governed by the moon, becomes restless and seeks constant mental stimulation. This manifests as an inability to focus deeply on single tasks, increased anxiety about missing out on information or social connections, and a physical restlessness that settles primarily in the upper body. During this 48-hour window, you'll likely experience what neuroscientists call task-switching overload. Your brain will attempt to process multiple information streams simultaneously, creating the dangerous illusion of productivity while actually fragmenting your attention and depleting your cognitive resources. The Gemini energy makes this mental jumping feel natural and even exciting, but the neurological cost is enormous. Each time your focus shifts from one task to another, your brain leaves what researchers term attention residue, making you progressively less efficient and more mentally exhausted. The physical symptoms of this lunar transit are equally predictable. Gemini rules the nervous system, so expect increased muscle tension in your shoulders, neck, and jaw. Your breathing may become shallow and located in the upper chest, keeping your body in a constant state of low-level fight or flight activation. Many people report tension headaches during moon in Gemini periods, as the brain literally overheats from processing too much information too quickly. But here's where the cosmic opportunity reveals itself. The same astrological energy that can cause mental chaos also creates the perfect conditions for a complete neurological reset. The heightened mental activity of Gemini moon, when consciously directed, can be used to identify and clear the mental clutter that has been accumulating in your psyche for months. Think of it as a cosmic spring cleaning for your mind, where the increased mental energy becomes the fuel for deep psychological reorganization rather than scattered overwhelm. The key lies in understanding that Gemini energy, while naturally scattered, is also incredibly adaptable and intelligent. When you work with this energy consciously rather than being victimized by it, you can use its mental agility to rapidly identify what thoughts, worries, and information streams are truly essential versus what is merely mental noise. The moon's emotional influence helps you feel into what information actually serves your well-being versus what feeds anxiety and distraction. Astrologically, this period also activates your third house themes regardless of your personal birth chart. The third house governs local communication, daily routines, sibling relationships, short trips, and most importantly, how you process and share information in your immediate environment. During Moon in Gemini, these areas of life become emotionally charged and demand attention. You might find yourself having important conversations with neighbors or siblings, feeling compelled to reorganize your daily schedule, or experiencing breakthrough insights about how you communicate your needs and boundaries. The shadow side of this transit, which most people unconsciously fall into, involves what astrologers call Gemini scatter. This manifests as starting multiple projects without finishing any, engaging in gossip or superficial social interactions that drain rather than nourish you, becoming addicted to news cycles and social media feeds, and making decisions based on the latest information rather than deeper wisdom. The emotional body, influenced by the moon, can become addicted to the dopamine hits of constant novelty and stimulation. However, the light side of Moon in Gemini offers extraordinary gifts for those who approach it consciously. This energy can facilitate rapid learning, breakthrough insights in communication patterns, healing of relationships through honest dialogue, mental flexibility that allows you to see problems from multiple angles, and the ability to synthesize complex information into clear, actionable understanding. The key is learning to surf the mental waves rather than being tumbled by them. Now, I want to hear from you about how this astrological energy is already showing up in your life. In the comments below, share your zodiac sign and tell me one specific way you've been feeling mentally scattered or overwhelmed lately. Are you noticing more tension in your shoulders and neck? Has your mind been jumping between tasks more than usual? Are you feeling an unusual urge to check your phone or social media constantly? Your personal experience with these cosmic energies helps our entire community understand how astrology manifests in real life. So please share what's been happening in your mental and nervous system over the past few days. Understanding the astrological framework is only the beginning. The real work involves developing what I call cosmic consciousness, the ability to recognize when planetary energies are influencing your mental and emotional states, so you can respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. Most people experience Moon in Gemini as something that happens to them, a period of increased anxiety and scattered thinking that they simply endure. But when you understand the astrological mechanics, you can transform this energy into a powerful tool for mental clarity and emotional intelligence. The ancient astrologers understood that lunar transits through different signs create predictable patterns in human consciousness. They developed specific practices and rituals to work with these energies rather than be overwhelmed by them. What I'm sharing with you today is a modern adaptation of these ancient wisdom practices, updated for our current digital age, where the challenge isn't lack of information, but rather information overload. The first principle of working with Moon in Gemini energy is recognizing that your mind will naturally want to consume more information than it can effectively process. This is not a personal failing, but rather a predictable response to the astrological conditions. Gemini energy creates what we might call cosmic FOMO, a fear of missing out on information, conversations, or social connections. Your emotional body, influenced by the moon, interprets this mental restlessness as a sign that you need to do more, learn more, and connect more in order to feel secure. This is where most people fall into the trap of false productivity. They mistake the feeling of mental busyness for actual accomplishment. They answer emails frantically, scroll through social media feeds compulsively, start multiple conversations simultaneously, and jump between tasks in a desperate attempt to satisfy the mind's craving for stimulation. But this approach only amplifies the very anxiety and scattered feeling they're trying to resolve. The neurological reality is that your brain can only focus deeply on one thing at a time. What we call multitasking is actually rapid task switching, and each switch costs cognitive energy and leaves attention residue that reduces your effectiveness on subsequent tasks. During Moon in Gemini, This task switching happens so rapidly that your mind becomes covered in attention residue, making even simple decisions feel overwhelming. The solution isn't to fight against the Gemini energy, but to channel it more consciously. Instead of allowing your mind to scatter in all directions, you use the heightened mental agility to rapidly identify and eliminate the information streams that aren't serving you. Think of it as using the cosmic energy to perform surgery on your attention, cutting away the mental tumors of unnecessary worry, gossip, news anxiety, and digital distraction. This process begins with what I call the Gemini paradox. The sign that rules communication and information gathering is also the sign that most needs to learn the power of mental silence. Gemini energy, when mature and conscious, becomes incredibly discerning about what deserves mental attention. It develops the ability to quickly assess information and either engage deeply or dismiss completely, rather than getting caught in the middle ground of partial attention that characterizes most modern mental activity. The moon's influence adds an emotional component to this process. Your feelings become a guidance system for determining what information truly matters versus what merely triggers your anxiety or curiosity. When you tune into the emotional quality of different information streams, you can feel the difference between information that nourishes your soul and information that depletes your energy, even if both seem equally urgent or important on a mental level. This brings us to the three-part healing ritual designed specifically for Moon in Gemini periods. These aren't generic mindfulness practices, but rather targeted interventions based on the specific astrological energies at play. Each component addresses a different layer of the Gemini challenge, from the physical nervous system activation to the emotional need for connection to the mental tendency toward scatter. The first component is what I call the Mercury retrograde simulation. Even though Mercury isn't actually retrograde during this Moon in Gemini period, we're going to deliberately slow down our information processing to counteract the natural acceleration of Gemini energy. This involves creating intentional periods of digital silence where you completely disconnect from all information inputs and allow your nervous system to downregulate. Choose a specific time block during these 48 hours, ideally 2-3 hours, but even 1 hour will be beneficial. Turn off all notifications on your devices, not just silencing them, but actually disabling them in your settings. Close all browser tabs, put your phone in airplane mode or better, yet in another room entirely. The goal is to create a complete information vacuum where your mind has no choice but to process and integrate what it has already consumed rather than constantly seeking new stimulation. During this digital silence period, engage only in activities that allow your mind to wander naturally without external input. This might include taking a bath, going for a walk in nature, doing gentle stretching or yoga, cooking a simple meal while paying attention to the sensory experience, or simply lying down and allowing your thoughts to flow without trying to direct or control them. The key is avoiding any activity that requires focused mental effort or provides new information. In the first 15-20 minutes of this practice, you'll likely experience what feels like withdrawal symptoms. Your mind will generate urgent reasons why you need to check your phone, compelling thoughts about emails you should answer, or anxiety about what you might be missing. This discomfort is actually a positive sign. It means you're breaking the addiction cycle of constant stimulation and allowing your dopamine receptors to reset. As you move deeper into the silence period, you'll notice your breathing naturally becoming slower and deeper. The tension in your shoulders and neck will begin to release. Your mind will stop generating urgent thoughts and settle into a more peaceful state. This is your nervous system shifting from sympathetic activation to parasympathetic restoration, the biological foundation of all healing and regeneration. The second component of our healing ritual addresses the physical manifestation of Gemini energy in your body. Since this sign rules the nervous system, shoulders, arms, and hands, we need specific practices to release the accumulated tension in these areas and restore proper nervous system function. Begin with what I call Gemini breathwork, a specific breathing pattern designed to regulate the rapid, shallow breathing that characterizes mental overwhelm. Sit comfortably with your spine straight and your shoulders relaxed. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly to monitor your breathing pattern. Most people during stressful periods breathe primarily into the upper chest, which keeps the nervous system in a state of alert activation. Consciously redirect your breath into your belly, allowing it to expand on the inhale and gently contract on the exhale. But here's the Gemini-specific modification. We're going to use a counting pattern that engages the mathematical, analytical aspect of Gemini energy while simultaneously calming the nervous system. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold empty for 4. This creates a square breathing pattern that gives the Gemini mind something to focus on while regulating the autonomic nervous system. Continue this breathing pattern for at least 10 minutes, visualizing the breath moving into any areas of tension in your shoulders, neck, arms, or hands. Gemini energy often manifests as a feeling of being energetically scattered or fragmented, so use the breath to gather your energy back into your core, imagining that each exhale is drawing scattered pieces of your attention back home to your center. Following the breathwork, perform gentle movements specifically targeting the areas ruled by Gemini. Roll your shoulders backwards in slow circles, imagining that you're releasing the weight of all the information and responsibilities you've been carrying. Gently stretch your neck from side to side, visualizing the release of mental tension and overthinking. Shake out your hands and arms vigorously for 30 seconds, allowing any nervous energy to discharge through your extremities. The third component of our ritual addresses the emotional and social aspects of Moon in Gemini energy. This lunar transit often creates a heightened need for communication and connection, but in our digital age, this need frequently gets satisfied through superficial social media interactions rather than meaningful dialogue. The result is feeling simultaneously overconnected and deeply lonely, stimulated, but not nourished. This part of the ritual involves what I call conscious communication curation. Instead of randomly engaging with whatever social stimulation presents itself, you're going to deliberately choose 1 or 2 meaningful connections and engage with them deeply rather than scattering your social energy across multiple shallow interactions. Identify one person in your life with whom you'd like to have a real conversation, someone you haven't spoken with deeply in a while, or someone with whom you have something important to share or discuss. Instead of texting or messaging, make an actual phone call or arrange to meet in person. The goal is to have at least one conversation during this 48-hour period that nourishes your soul rather than just passing time or exchanging information. During this conversation, practice what astrologers call mercurial presence, the art of being completely present to communication without the need to multitask or partially attend to other things. Turn off all devices, make eye contact if you're in person, and listen not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotional undertones and deeper meanings. Allow yourself to be genuinely curious about this person's inner world rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. The Moon in Gemini energy will naturally make you want to share everything that's on your mind, but practice discernment about what's truly worth sharing versus what's just mental chatter. Ask yourself before speaking whether what you're about to say will deepen the connection or just fill silence. This practice of conscious communication helps satisfy the Gemini need for connection while avoiding the scattered social energy that leaves you feeling depleted. The final element of our healing ritual involves what I call the mental filing system. One of the biggest challenges during Moon in Gemini periods is the feeling that your mind is cluttered with too many unfinished thoughts, incomplete tasks, and random pieces of information that you don't want to forget, but don't know what to do with. This mental clutter creates a constant background anxiety and makes it difficult to focus deeply on anything. Before going to sleep on both nights of this lunar transit, spend 15 minutes doing what I call a brain dump. Take a notebook and pen, not a digital device, and write down everything that's currently occupying mental space. Don't try to organize or prioritize, just empty your mind onto paper. Include worries about the future, things you need to remember to do, ideas for projects, concerns about relationships, random thoughts that keep circulating, anything that's taking up mental real estate. The physical act of writing engages different neural pathways than typing and creates a stronger sense of externalization. Your brain can literally feel the thoughts leaving your internal space and being stored safely in an external location. This releases an enormous amount of cognitive load and allows for much deeper, more restorative sleep. After completing your brain dump, read through what you've written and notice any patterns. Are there certain types of thoughts that dominate your mental space? Are you carrying worries that aren't actually yours to carry? Are there recurring themes that might need more conscious attention? This awareness helps you understand how your mind operates under stress and gives you information for making more conscious choices about what deserves your mental energy. As you implement this healing ritual over the next 48 hours, pay attention to the subtle shifts in your mental and emotional state. The goal isn't to eliminate all mental activity or become completely calm. That would be working against the natural energy of Gemini. Instead, you're learning to surf the mental waves more skillfully, using the heightened cognitive activity for conscious purposes rather than being overwhelmed by it. The deeper teaching of Moon in Gemini is that in our information-saturated world, the most radical act is not consuming more information, but becoming more discerning about what information you allow into your consciousness. Every piece of information you consume, every conversation you engage in, every digital interaction you participate in, is programming your subconscious mind and shaping your emotional state. During this lunar transit, you have a heightened opportunity to become conscious of these usually automatic processes and make more intentional choices. This is ultimately about reclaiming your sovereignty over your own mind and attention. In a world that profits from your distraction and feeds on your anxiety, the ability to choose consciously what you focus on becomes a form of spiritual rebellion. You're no longer a passive consumer of whatever information and stimulation the world throws at you, but rather an active curator of your own mental environment. The practices I've shared aren't meant to be used only during Moon in Gemini periods. They're foundational tools for navigating the challenges of consciousness in the digital age. By learning to work skillfully with intense astrological transits, you develop the capacity to maintain your center regardless of what energies are swirling around you. As this lunar transit completes on Monday morning, take a moment to acknowledge the work you've done to transform potential overwhelm into conscious clarity. Notice how different your mental state feels when you approach cosmic energies as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to endure. This shift in perspective is the foundation of what astrologers call living in alignment with cosmic rhythms rather than being victimized by them. The Moon will continue its journey through the Zodiac, bringing different challenges and opportunities for growth. But the skills you develop during this Gemini transit, the ability to create mental silence, regulate your nervous system, communicate consciously, and curate your information diet, will serve you regardless of what astrological weather you encounter. Remember that true astrological wisdom isn't about predicting what will happen to you. but about understanding the energetic conditions so you can respond more consciously to whatever arises. You're not at the mercy of the planets. You're learning to dance with cosmic energies in ways that support your highest evolution and deepest well-being. If this guidance has resonated with you and helped you navigate the intensity of Moon in Gemini more consciously, please share this video with others who might benefit from understanding how to work skillfully with astrological energies. Subscribe to continue receiving practical wisdom for living in harmony with cosmic rhythms. And I'll see you in the next forecast, where we'll explore how to prepare for the upcoming new moon and what it means for your personal evolution.